So, good morning. My name is Dow Brophy, and I attend the second service. I had been in the first service, but there was a vote and you kicked me out, so I had to go to the second service. And I missed last week because my family had a gathering of the siblings in Virginia. So we drove on down. We were right off the Blue Ridge and spent the week down there. And it was a fascinating week. I was just saying that one of my siblings has lung cancer, and it spread to the brain. Now, they're doing okay. I have to give all credit to God. And as I was working on the message, they came up to me. You notice I'm being very careful not to even mention what gender they are. They came up to me and wanted to know what I was doing. And so I talked about when bad things happen to good people. And I hadn't known this, but they said they didn't believe. And in fact, were very upset if someone tried to direct their thoughts. Did not attend church, didn't pray, and I tried to very gently mention how Jesus works in my life. And eventually they got up from the table and walked away and went to a different conversational pod. So I will continue to pray and maybe pray even harder. The interesting thing is they have lung cancer and they never smoked a day in their life. And also, unfortunately, are an excellent artist. Oh, some of the pieces are gorgeous, but they're losing their eyesight. And so for a lot of the weekend, they had like a magnifying glass and we're reading everything like 2 inches away, from 2 inches away. And when I talked and tried to ask if there were things I could do, it turns out they're also losing their hearing. So it was rough. We tried to work through it, but all of a sudden I realized we're all getting older. And as we get older, we can't do things that we did when we were younger. I don't know about any of you, but it's amazing that I'm the same age as old people. I don't know how it snuck up on me, but it did. So it was an interesting week. And I looked and said, all 5 of us have some Gotsits or another. Even the young ones. But it really then kind of fed information into the why do bad things happen to good people? And, you know, looking through the congregation, I don't see a bad person in here. I see a whole bunch of good people. I'd be willing to bet that everybody in here has had some problem occur. I'll pick on Peggy because she can tolerate it. But it's been mentioned that she's kind of struggling with her life situation. And why would bad things happen to such a nice person? So, what makes us good? If there's a room full of good people, what makes us good? We come to church, we pray, we give to the church, either tithes or to special projects. So we take money out of our pockets and put it in the church's pocket. And we do good things with that. So aren't we good people? Don't we deserve good things to happen? How many others have had misfortunes? A car accident. Coming to church and there's a flat tire on the car. Now I've got my Sunday go to church meeting clothes on and I've got to change the tire. Maybe a financial reversal. I've been very careful with my spending and really wanted to make sure that things went along well, but they didn't. Something happened. Like I said, went down to see my family, and we've all got some sort of health problem. Nothing horrendous, nothing that anybody else in this gathering hasn't dealt with or doesn't deal with on a daily basis, but we've all had some health problems. Why? We're good people. We do good things. We like people. And we say good morning. But we still have problems. So why? Why do bad things happen? Now, the underlying question isn't necessarily why do bad things happen, but why do bad things happen to me? I like you guys, but yeah, things happen, but I don't call you up and say, hey, what bad things are happening to you today? I just care about the fact that bad things happen to me. And why? There's got to be a reason. We have a reason for everything. I don't deserve this. I'm good. Not only am I going to church on Sunday, but I'm going to give the message. Okay. God said, that's nice. Give a good one. Because you're representing me. And you knowing that you're faithful, you're probably all going to say, I know what he's going to say about what he deserves. And so I spent the week with a family, and I'd be willing to bet that if you could pry their phone numbers or out of my possession, they'd be happy to tell you what I deserve. And it's not good what they'll tell you. I'd be happy to tell you what I think of them and what they deserve. Romans 8, pretty much the whole chapter, will show us that good things will be given to us if we remain faithful to the Spirit. That's difficult to do. because when I get to a very nice lodge in the Blue Ridge and find that in order to go from the parking area to the kitchen, I have to go up 18 steps in a row. I mean, not even a little landing to rest my knee. I just have to say, okay, get going and start on up the steps and make the fewest trips up and down those steps in a day that I can. Because if I don't, my knees burn. Yeah, I see lots of nodding, so you know what it's like. And you go, just trying to go from where everybody's gathering and where the food is to my bedroom is an annoyance. So if we listen to Romans 8, it says, be a good person. And that will lead to bad events occurring. But listen to the Spirit. What's the Spirit telling us? And that will lead us to our rewards. Matthew 5:45 says that rain will fall on the just and the unjust. We've heard that. We know that. When there's sprinkles and showers, we look outside and go, yeah, I'm going to get wet walking to the car. But that's okay. Rain happens. And it's not that God said, oh, you did manage to get out of bed and get to church. Let me make it just a bit more difficult for you. So let me give you a little bit of rain. Okay, there's some younger people. I was going to say, does everybody remember high school? This says that there may be some questions as to how accurate those memories are. You go to school, you try to do your assignments, you do your chores, being a good, dutiful child, some of us. And then you want to go meet your significant other. Okay, I did all the hard work, now I get to have some fun. And maybe have a soda together. Maybe sit on the porch swing and just swing back and forth with your future mother-in-law peering between the curtains. And it starts to rain, a gentle rain, just a misting, and it's quiet, and it's clean and clear, and you're with your significant other. What a great time. And so you go for a walk hand in hand, and just that little bit of rain and the sunshine, and out comes a rainbow. Life doesn't get any better. However, gives you a chance to take your jacket off and put it around your significant other's shoulders and protect them from the light drizzle. And everything just working well. Then, a few weeks later, there's a homecoming dance, and you're going to the homecoming dance, and it's coming down just a little bit harder, and you've got your best clothes on, and you've shined your shoes, and have a clean outfit on, and you get a flat tire. Now what? Now I'm in the rain with my significant other, and it's raining down, and I've got to get out of the car, and I've got to find the tire jack and the spare tire, and I'm not nearly as happy being in the rain. What's the difference? You know, the rain has come down on the just and the unjust. Did I say a bad word that week? I don't know. I don't remember that. I don't believe in that sort of thing. I don't believe that, yeah, if you stub your toe, you must have done this, and if you say a bad word, then, you know, you're going to get even worse. The rain came down. The rain made me wet. I got mud all over my shoes and pants, and it just was not a good day. Maybe my sister sent me some pictures, and she and her son had planted some flowers on the property, and she sent pictures of the property, and it was gorgeous. You know, I was so jealous. It just looked great. And she pulled out some radishes, and she had a gorgeous garden, and really nice vegetables. And it just raised that. Sorry, Lord. I know jealousy is not part of what I'm supposed to do, but she sent some pictures, and I'm sure she's had bits of rain, and so it did good things. And I'm sure you've all had an experience where you had a neighbor who used to yell at you because a leaf from one of your trees landed on his perfectly manicured lawn. Well, pick it up. You know, if you're upset about the leaf, then pick it up. Well, you know, no, my trees aren't as well trained as yours. They lose their leaves sometimes, and so the rain falls on the just and the unjust. It's not about the rain. It's not about you. God knows that the rain was necessary, and so he provided it. And it's our response to those problems that really cause the results, either good or bad. So, what is good? How do we define good? How do we define that, you know, God makes it rain on the just and the unjust? So how do we define that? I mean, if I don't know what to do to become good, then I can't become good. I will say that when I was at the family gathering, I like all my siblings. I think they're all good people. And in fact, the one that I talked about as not really being receptive to a religious message, I used to describe her as the good one in the family. She's a sweetheart. But once I started talking about church and such, she became very resistant. And because she's such a good person, I didn't want to push her in a way that wouldn't have ended well. And after she got up and left and talked with another group of people, eventually she came back and we were good for each other again. So it was difficult, and all I can say is I hope that some seeds were planted where if she needs a spiritual message, she knows where to go for it. She can always come to me. And I will try to give a message that God would want me to give. So like I said, I would always call her the good one in the family. The other one, we would be, we weren't the kids that did everything Mom asked right away. Why, yes, Mom, is there anything else you would like us to do? It was, yes, Mom, and can we misinterpret your directions so that we can get in trouble? For some reason, cremation came up, and I said, well, I've already put it in my will that I want to be cremated. I said, but I don't want a celebration of my life. I don't. You know, I want a funeral, but it's pronounced funneral. And she looked at me and said, gotcha, you will have a funneral. I want people to know that the Lord was good enough and he put me here for a specific length of time, and that I look at things and say, Lord, I had fun, and I hope that you had fun watching me make a fool of myself. So she's really good. We could tease her because my grandmother was always late to everything. And my father said, she'll be late to her own funeral. She was. My sister was carrying the urn with my grandmother's ashes, and she made a wrong turn and traveled about 60 more miles than what she needed to. It was down in D.C. She was interred at Arlington, and I don't know if anybody's driven down there, but the road signs are horrendous. The roads are horrendous. The traffic is horrendous. So she was significantly late to the meeting, and in fact the honor guard had to leave just as my sister was arriving because their bus back to the barracks was leaving. They had no choice, and so we honored my grandmother with having a memorial service, and my sister's never lived it down. My grandmother was late to her own funeral because my sister was driving the car. Like I said, not a good person. So don't ask me to speak at your funeral. She at one point had fallen down a flight of steps and broke both her ankles. Yeah. Let's see now. Hey, I've got to go to the bathroom now. Hello? Anybody out there? I need some help. Both legs at one time. She spent 9 months non-weight bearing. Well, you spend 9 months in bed and you try to get out and your muscles are all weak and atrophied. So she spent a significant amount of time getting back to a point where she could do some things. When I talked with her, she talked about how lucky she was, that her life was so wonderful. I'm going, wow. She had to spend $9,000 getting one of those little stair elevators. She calls it her princess chair. But did she complain about it? No. No, she's got her princess chair so that she can go up and down steps, and she says, and the really cool thing was she put it on her Amazon card, so she got a free Kindle, and now she can read any book she wants because of the bonus points she got. Yeah, it's like, hold it. You just broke both your legs and had to spend 9 months doing nothing. But she's lucky. And she's getting better every day, and she came from Columbus, Ohio out and picked me up, and we went down to the Blue Ridge Parkway together, and we had a great time. Should we look at some biblical people and see how they responded? I don't know if anybody knows St. Stephen. It should be pretty evident that his first name is Saint, which I thought was remarkable for his mother to realize. But he was a saint, and he's considered the first Christian saint because he was martyred right around the time Jesus died. And he was martyred by stoning. Again, I don't know if people have thought about ways to die in the Bible. There are some really miserable ones. Stoning is right up there. Somebody picks up a rock and throws it at you. And somebody else in the crowd picks up a rock and throws it at you. And you just keep getting pelted by rocks until you crumble. And then you're on the ground and they keep throwing rocks at you. Miserable. And it turns out, after Stephen died, the church dissipated. Do I want to be around and have somebody come up and smack me in the head with a rock? No. So the church moved out. Guess what? The church had been this small cult around Jerusalem, and now they've got members, believers in Greece, Turkey, Rome. So his death encouraged believers to take the message out and away. And so the church grew because of this. And how about Jesus himself? Man without sin. And he would go around the countryside not asking for money, but asking for the ability to give the message. And what happened to him? um, he was hung on a cross. I'm not sure if anybody knows this, but dying on the cross was so miserable that the Romans said, you cannot put a Roman citizen to death on a cross. It was torture. And so the Romans said, no, you can't do this to our citizens. And Jesus was hung on a cross. So he did everything he did, and his reward was to be hung on a cross. So what happened to bad people in the Bible? Not sure whether people consider Jacob bad, but he was called the deceiver. And he hung on to his twin brother's heel when he was being born. And as his father was dying, he put an animal pelt on his hand so that his father would touch his hand and think that it was his hairy brother Esau who was there. And so the father gave the birthright to Jacob. Not sure about anybody else, but if my brother stole my birthright, I'd not be happy. He subsequently went and disputed with God, wrestled with him. God touched his hip and injured it, but then also gave Jacob a birthright of his own. And so he certainly wasn't an admirable character, but he became a leader and did God's work. Anybody hear of Saul of Tarsus? Yeah. He murdered Christians. He tortured them and murdered them. And there are some reports saying that he was probably present at Stephen's stoning. He certainly didn't stand up and say, hey guys, this is wrong. Stephen, he's a good man. No, let's let it happen. Let's let that Christian go. And then he met Christ. And was blinded, and then had the scales fall from his eyes and became one of the greatest speakers for Christianity in history. And he became Paul. So why? It still comes down to why? And I'm going to suggest that these bad things equip us to be better Christians in the future. We can maybe speak to somebody with understanding, with sympathy, with empathy. And, okay, you don't believe in Christ, but let me tell you what he's done for me. And the understanding that what's going on here on this earth is not the end. We always look at it that something bad's happening to us, we die, and that's it. No. This is not the end. This is only the beginning. And if God prepares our hearts, then when we get to heaven, we can fully enjoy what God has for us. God uses the bad to provide for the ultimate good. So he strengthens us. He strengthens our faith. He tests our faith. And we then can come to him with appreciation for everything he's given to us. And the bottom line is, he saved the worst for the best. He saved the cross for Christ. And I think to tell us that you don't have to go through that. He's going to save the really bad and have us live our lives. Father, I thank you for giving me these messages, for giving me these insights. And Father, I ask that we continue to be able to grow in your Son's name and come closer to the cross. Amen.